Hello and welcome to Books of Blood. My name is John, and today I'm going to be bringing you That 70s Horror TBR. So if you remember, about a week ago I did a video called That 70s Horror Reading Challenge, in which I present to you guys a new challenge that revolves around the horror that was popular in the 1970s. Things like The Exorcist and Jaws and Carrie, Stephen King. There's even a challenge question here on Vietnam. So this is going to run through the entire month of September, from the 1st to the 30th. You can combine challenges. You do not have to read a book that was published in the 1970s. You just have to, as far as the challenges go, you just have to read a book based on the challenges. All right. So let's go ahead. That being said, let's go ahead and get underway. And like I said, I've got this new video camera, and I can record a little bit longer. I don't have to worry about not having space, so I can record a little longer. So I'm trying to slow my voice down just a little bit and not sound as manic as I have been known to sound. So this is a new experience for me, this new camera, the new video editing system. I've said this a million times before already. I keep on saying it. I'm sorry I repeat myself. But anyway, let's go ahead and get underway with this. And hopefully when I announce the names of the books, that they will pop up right here over my shoulder, right beside me. I don't know if I'm pointing right or not. Whatever. Anyway. First challenge is read a horror novel about demonic possession and exorcism. You can scratch the exorcism part. Just read a book about demonic possession. Usually when you have a demonic possession, not always, but usually you have an exorcism anyway. So it kind of goes without saying. So for that one, I'm going to read The Window, and this is by Glenn Rolfe. What kind of demons await you tonight? For Richie, life's constant cheap shots are adding up. When he finds something is watching him, he never dreamed that it would show him everything he ever wanted. When his son James comes to stay for the last month of summer, the changes in his father's behavior come to the forefront. What is his father doing staring into the window in the middle of the night? Was the fiery spark in the dark real, or is James's imagination getting the best of him? Summer's almost over and life is about to change. Will James be able to save his father, or is it already too late? And that is to read a book about a horror novel about demonic possession. All right. Number 2, and this one was inspired by the Amityville Horror. And this is to read a horror novel based on a true haunting. Again, it doesn't have to be a true haunting. Just make it a haunting, and it does not have to be a haunted house. It could be a haunted car, haunted person, haunted object. All right. So for this one, I'm going to read The Family Plot, and this is by Sherry Priest. Music City Salvage is owned and operated by Chuck Dutton, master stripper of doomed historic properties and expert seller of all things old and crusty. Business is lean and times are tight, so he's thrilled when the aged and esteemed Augusta Withrow appears in his office. She has a massive family estate to unload, lock, stock, and barrel. For a check and a handshake, it's all his. It's a big check, it's a firm handshake, and it's enough of a gold mine that he assigns his daughter Dahlia to personally oversee the project. Dahlia and a small crew caravan down to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where the ancient Withrow house is waiting, and so is a barn, a carriage house, and a small overgrown cemetery that Augusta Withrow left out of the paperwork. Augusta Withrow left out a lot of things. The property is in unusually great shape for a condemned building. It's empty, but Dahlia and the crew quickly learn it is far from abandoned. There's still something in the Withrow mansion, something angry and lost, and this is his last chance to raise hell before the house is gone forever. and that is The Family Plot by Cherie Priest, and that is to read a book based on a haunting, a true haunting if you wish. Alright? Number 3, read a horror novel about Vietnam or Vietnam veterans. So for this one, I'm going to go with Nightblood by T. Chris Martindale. And this one is a vampire novel. An ancient vampire has descended on Isherwood, Indiana, turning its townspeople into a legion of bloodthirsty monsters, and only one man can stop them. Chris Stiles, once a Vietnam War soldier, is now the ultimate vampire hunter. With the help of the ghost of his dead brother who was killed by the monsters and an arsenal of high-powered weaponry, Chris is ready for a new war, this time not with the Viet Cong, but against an army of the undead. And that is Nightblood by T. Chris Martindale. Read a book about a Vietnam veteran or about Vietnam. All right? Number 4, read a horror novel based on a killer animal or animals. And of course, I was inspired by Jaws for that one. And of course, there were so many Jaws ripoffs. Alright, for that one, I'm going to read Scar by Michael Cole. Scar is a killing machine, born from DNA spliced between the extinct megalodon and modern-day great white. He has a viciousness that transcends time. His evil is reflected in his eyes, his savagery in his 2-inch serrated teeth, his ruthlessness in his trail of death. After escaping captivity, the killer shark travels to the island community Cross Point, where prey is in abundance. With an insatiable appetite, heightened senses, and skin impervious to bullets, Scar kills everything that crosses his path. His reign of terror puts him at war with the island's sheriff, Nick Piott. With the body count rising, Nick vows to protect his island community from the vicious threat. With the aid of a marine biologist, a rookie deputy, and a bad-tempered fisherman, Nick leads a crusade against Scar, as well as the ruthless scientist who created him. And that is Scar by Michael Cole, and as to read about a killer animal or animals. Alright, number 5. Read a horror novel by an author who made their debut in the 1970s. James Herbert made his debut in the 1970s with The Rats, I believe in 1974. And I am going to read Others by James Herbert. In James Herbert's Others, private investigator Nicholas Dismas is hired to track down a missing baby stolen away at birth. He finds himself immersed in a grim underworld of lies and deceit. His investigations ultimately lead him to a mysteriously located place with the seemingly innocent name of Perfect Rest, a nursing home where the elderly can live out their days in peace. But appearances can be deceptive, and Dismas discovers the shadowy presence of the others lurking in the hidden rooms and passages of Perfect Rest. His own dark heart is called into question in the events that follow, and in an astonishing and spectacular finale, Dismas finally resolves the enigma of his existence and answers the disturbing questions: who and what are the others? And that is Others by James Herbert. Read a book by an author who made their debut in the 1970s. Okay. Alright, number 6, read a horror novel about creepy or evil children. There were so many things I was inspired by for that one. The Exorcist, Carrie, The Omen. I'm sure there were other ones about the creepy children back in the 70s. Audrey Rose is another one that comes to mind. For this one, I'm going to read The Girl in the Basement by Ray Garton. Foster care is like Russian roulette, says 15-year-old Ryan. Foster care is like Russian roulette, says 15-year-old Ryan Kettering, who spent most of his young life in largely abusive homes. Sometimes the hammer clicks and you're fine. Sometimes it's a bullet to the brain. This time it seems the hammer is clicked. Living with the Prestons in a rambling 2-story house in Shasta County, the chores are split between Ryan and 5 other foster kids. Not counting 9-year-old Maddie. Not much is expected of her. She stays in the basement. The other children don't know much about Maddie, but what they do know they don't like. She's just not right. She speaks in a strange, gravelly adult voice. Maybe Ryan can make a difference, spend time with her, get acquainted. He understands what it means to be lonely. That's when he decides to do what no other child in the house dares. Ryan's going down to the basement. And that is The Girl in the Basement by Ray Garton, and that's to read a book about creepy or evil children. Alright, number 7 is to read a horror novel set in the 1970s. I'm pretty sure this was set in the 70s. It was written in the 70s by Mendel W. Johnson, and I'm referring to Let's Go Play at the Adams. They're just kids. It's only a game. That's what Barbara, a lovely 20-year-old babysitter, told herself when she awoke, bound and gagged. But the knots were tied and painful, and the children would not let her go. They're just kids. It's only a game, she told herself again. But the terror was real and deadly. And that is Let's Go Play at the Adams by Mendel W. Johnson, as to read a book that is based or set in the 1970s. Alright, finally, read a horror novel with a 70s style cover. I'm going to use Let's Go Play at the Adams for that because the cover is a duplicate of the 1970s cover. So, that is That 70s Horror TBR for That 70s Horror Reading Challenge. I really hope you guys will participate. That's why I set this for September, so it gives you guys, if you're going to do this, it gives you plenty of time to prepare. Like I said, you can combine challenges, and it does not have to be a book that is published in the 1970s, alright? So that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys for watching, and be safe out there, okay? Bye-bye.